Welcome to Jags Drive Time with Ashlyn Sullivan, John Oehser, and Brian Sexton. Jags Drive Time starts right now.
We've all got our ass kicked before. Let's tighten up and go. And that's I believe in that team. I believe in our staff, and come back to work. Good thing is you're going to earn your captain stripes and leadership stripes as a coach and leaders on the team. But I believe in that. I believe in those guys.
Oof. Not the way you wanted to start the regular season, week one. Welcome into Jaguars Drive Time. Monday morning, a loss to the Houston Texans. Ashlyn Sullivan, Brian Sexton, and John Oehser here. Yes, it was a loss. There is a lot to take away from this game. There's a lot we learned. And Brian, there's a lot this team needs to work on.
Yeah. And it's funny. I got a text this morning from somebody saying, "How are you going to put lipstick on that pig?" And I said, it's not a pig. I don't think it's a pig. I think last year it was a pig. I don't know what animal it relates to, but there's a lot that you can work with, right? And the quarterback is obviously the centerpiece of that. There's a way to get where they want to go from where they are. Last year, that wasn't even possible, right? I'm the sunny-eyed optimist all the time anyway, but the reality of it is that there's some things you're like, wow, okay. But a lot of those things can be fixed, and you've got things to work with. You're not complete. We didn't think they would be this year, but they'll be better than that.
Yeah, I was encouraged by the quarterback, obviously, but is one of my hot takes, so I'm not going to completely go there.
Yep.
But if you want to get better fundamentally and don't take yourself out of the game in the first quarter and half. Well, that's very simple.
Yes.
Gosh, we got so much to talk about. You should get into big things because we'll come back around.
But your point was you think it can get better.
Oh, yeah.
It can get better. It can get better fundamentally.
Wait.
That's my hot take, Schlin, so go ahead.
Right. You can get better right out of the gate. You can get better with the way that the game started, and then the way that the half ended. You can get better with better decision making on the sideline. You can fix some of those things pretty quickly.
Yes, you can. All right, big thing one is last-minute meltdown. The last minute of the first half basically put the game out of reach. It's 20-7 at this point. It's 3rd and 1. Make the stop. Go into the locker room. Everything's okay. Instead, it's a 57-yard bomb with 13 seconds left in the first half. You're walking into halftime thinking, what just happened?
Self-inflicted. I think we had 7 penalties in the first 3 or 4 drives, and I thought, we were moving the ball. I thought, and then all of a sudden you look up and you see that damn penalty flag, and so we just, and somewhere just, just can't happen. So that was the biggest disappointment, and then all of a sudden you get out of your rhythm running the ball, and you look up and you're down a couple scores, and drop back or throwing 51 passes. That's not what we got to be.
Big thing too is 16th seems the same. That is the 16th loss on the road. New era, yes. New faces, yes. 16-game losing streak. Losing feels like losing. So Trevor Lawrence, how do you fix this?
Definitely some stuff we got to clean up. Too many penalties. Like I said, turnovers. It's all me. 3 turnovers. Like you're not gonna win many games with 3 turnovers, especially when margin was -3 for us. So it's not good. Gave them one right in our backed up, threw one to them right before half, kind of right there. It was just not great. So a lot of things we got to do better. But like I said, you got to watch them and correct them and then move on. And like you said, procedure stuff. We'll get that fixed. Partly we got a lot of new guys that just came in and all that. So, we'll clean it up.
Big thing, too, is tracking that guy, Trevor Lawrence, who threw the ball 51 times. What in the world? Has never lost in the regular season, has never thrown 3 interceptions in a game. So, head coach, what did you think of your quarterback?
Love Trevor, and we all do. Trevor's just going to get better and better and better. Had a great week of work. Offensive football is about 11 guys doing their job, and the great offenses we've all witnessed and we've all been a part of are when 11 guys are doing their job and executing, and that didn't happen. So Trevor's going to be great.
Yeah, I know I'm gonna respond well. I'm made of the right stuff, so I don't have any doubt about that. But it's frustrating, and I hate losing. So we're gonna get better, but that's all you can do is watch the tape, learn from it, get better, move on, and we just got to stick together. That's the main thing. That's kind of in the past. That's over. It is what it is. We got to move on to next week and stick together. So it's gonna be good.
All right, moving on to next week is the Denver Broncos here at home this Sunday, but let's stick right here with this game. And I think let's go to big thing 2, which is 16th feels the same. Losing feels like losing. And this loss was a lot of self-inflicted wounds, a lot of penalties, a lot of not lining up correctly, things that make you worried. Why is this happening right now?
Well, and I wrote this in quick thoughts. I mean, it goes everywhere, right? I mean, it was the procedure. You had to use a timeout on the first drive. I mean, just to collect yourself. And that just, it felt so discombobulated for a team that had been working together. Trevor talked last week about all the time and the effort they had put in together to get to this point. So it starts off. And then what really caught me was at the end of the half. You're down 20-7 after the interception. The kid is swimming. I don't understand the decision to throw, and only take, 16 seconds, 17 seconds off the clock. He was swimming at that moment, right? Run the ball, get into the halftime locker room, and then you come out with it, and you're only down 13 instead of being down 20. I mean, it just that's not the way that I thought that the first half would go, just based on watching them practice and listening to them talk. I'm writing it off. I don't think you'll see a half that bad again.
Well, there's so much on swimming. So, but the first thing on our little notes here is they couldn't run the ball. And statistically, that's true. But I went back and watched the game last night after I got back. They were running the ball.
I was going to say they absolutely could.
And they got 12 yards, and then it's a hold.
Yep.
And
then 9 yards and another hold on A.J. Cann.
Speaking of the holds, the Linder hold I didn't see.
I didn't either.
The first Juwan Taylor hold I didn't see.
Yeah.
I thought those were ticky-tack. DJ Chark started pulling down from the back. It had to be called. And then the second Juwan Taylor, it had to be called. So holding's holding. But on the plane, I'm thinking, why in the world didn't they run the ball? When we talked after the game, showing on camera, why in the world didn't they run the ball? And then on each drive, sort of a circumstance took them out of it. Hold, and then they're 1st and 15 on the first drive. Right. So I don't think they didn't want to run the ball. And I'll disagree with you a little bit at the end of the first half. They threw 3 passes that were really high percentage, and I thought a couple of them could have been caught. A couple of them could have been better throws. Those are easy passes that when you game plan for that, you're thinking, okay, this is going to be complete. Worst case, the guy falls down.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, and I understand that, and you can't just run it all the time. But also look at the circumstances, right? And from my vantage point, I saw a quarterback who was swimming mentally, just trying to calm down, calm himself down. And you've just had bang plays go against you, right? Giving up 10 points in less than a minute. There's 59 seconds left. Get out of the first half. You're going to have the ball to start it. 13 points is absolutely a game. 20
I
points. I
agree with you more than I don't. Not. I'm just saying on that.
At that moment in the game, I'm like, all right, there's too much to ask the kid to come out because you knew what's going to happen. They were going to have to throw the ball 50 times in the game. And that was asking too much.
Yeah.
I just thought that was a moment, and I know they don't want to play that way, right? If I hadn't listened to Urban and Darrell Bevel talk so much, I wouldn't realize they don't want to play that way. But I thought they got out of sorts. And it wasn't just the players on the field. It was everybody involved. The first half was a meltdown.
It was everyone's first game, and it was rather clear. And we give so much credit to the players. Okay, Trevor Lawrence, your first game in the NFL. It's a coaching staff, too. It's a coaching staff's first game, and I think it was pretty obvious it was their first game.
Yeah, I didn't expect it. I really didn't. I've been impressed with the way this staff has worked through training camp. I really have. And in the preseason games, I didn't expect that. But sometimes it's just not your day, right? And the first half started with the timeout on the opening drive. I'm like, what are we doing? And at the end of the first half, it just, okay, all right. Now, in the second half, I was impressed because it seemed like he was swimming again, and then he made that beautiful throw to DJ Chark where he was patient in the pocket. And the 3rd and 15 throw to DJ Chark where he stepped up into the pocket. He started to settle down. Yeah. He wasn't great, but he settled down. And it showed me, like he said, he's made of the right stuff, right? He gets it. He knows. He's not going to play this bad every week. He's not going to make 3 turnovers. I looked it up. I couldn't find where he had ever thrown 3 interceptions in a game.
He never has. He said in his press conference. He's not even in a practice. He's never thrown 3 interceptions.
All right. Okay. Then I don't think it's a trend. I think it's an anomaly.
Yeah. John and I were talking after the game. I was not worried at all about the turnovers. And I expected a few, but you saw flashes of optimism that made you feel better about those turnovers. There were so many other things that went wrong that the turnovers were like 10th on the list for me.
One more comment on the turnovers, because I know we're I guess I wasn't shocked at all about the turnovers because every one of those interceptions was textbook week 1 rookie interception. Hargraves duped him a little bit on the second one. On the third one, he didn't see the middle linebacker, and on the first one, I always draw a blank on the first one.
He was fading to his left.
Yeah, he threw back across the field. That's textbook. Right. Exactly. All 3 of them were exactly where you go, wow, I've seen a million other quarterbacks do that before me. Why do they do it? Oh, that's why, because this game's fast.
Yeah.
And what was cool, John and I talked about this in Rapid Recap. If you haven't seen Trevor Lawrence's press conference, go watch it on Jaguars.com. We're used to when a player makes a mistake or you talk about a specific play, normally they say, I have to go watch the film. And granted, it's really hard to remember all that. I get that. I was so impressed that Trevor Lawrence went through every single interception, what went wrong, immediately knew, went through every single play. I've never heard that in a press conference before.
No, he's terrific. And I wrote this in Game That Was. I thought Urban was too, right? I mean, for a coach who is known for showing how he feels, I mean, how often did you read in August people who were trying to interpret his body language and he'll never last? And I thought he came in and it was clear to me that he had steeled himself for this eventuality. Not that they were going to lose or play badly on the first day, but that it was going to be a long road and he better be ready to stand there calmly and explain it. And I thought he was terrific in the postgame locker room, explaining everything out. Trevor was sensational. I couldn't understand Josh Allen with the mask half the time, but I thought he did a good job as well. It's one game. Yeah. It's one game. It looks like 16 others that we've seen, but it wasn't.
Mm-hmm. When Coach said, I've been told by many people it's a marathon, not a sprint, I said, man, that describes today, doesn't it?
That was clear. It was clear that he was prepared for it.
Yes, he was. All right, that is big things. When we come back on Jaguars Drive Time, some highlights from yesterday's loss to the Houston Texans right here on the Jaguars Digital Network.
Jags Drive Time is brought to you by TIAA Bank. Turn potential into progress. And by Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Every driver's worst fear. How much will the repairs cost? Is it your engine, your transmission, or worse? A car breakdown could cost you thousands to repair, but not if you have CarShield. CarShield administrators pay your claims directly to the mechanic or dealer of your choice, saving you time and money. Call CarShield today before your next breakdown. Call 800-471-1223, 800-471-1223.
This is Ice-T,
Stone Cold Steve Austin, and
Matty Ice.
This is a cold call.
I convinced NFL teams to turn to cold water washing with Tide.
The NFL, your uniforms get dirty.
Tide can handle it, even in cold. Plus, if fans join in, they can save up to $150 on their energy bill.
Looks like you just made the team, rookie.
Turn to cold with Tide.
And that's the bottom line.
It's got to be Tide. Energy savings based on average when switching from hot to cold and non-HE machines.
Your family isn't like anyone else's. Your home shouldn't be either. At Dreamfinders Homes, you can build the home of your dreams in one of their 30-plus communities in Northeast Florida. Choose from luxury single-family homes or maintenance-free townhomes from the 200s. Dreamfinders specializes in homes built to fit your lifestyle. To find out more, call 904-738-0165 or visit dreamfindershomes.com.
Call CarShield now if your car's out of manufacturer's warranty. Don't get stuck with expensive mechanical and computer repairs. Call CarShield. We're back here. It's Jaguars Drive Time, Monday morning, coming off a loss to the Houston Texans and a lot to go over, especially here with these highlights. So let's start right here in the first quarter, defensive drive. First drive, Shaq Griffin nearly gets the interception. Crazy to think what would have happened if he catches that ball. On the next drive, 2 opportunities to take the ball away that did not happen.
Under pressure, going deep, inside the 10, double coverage, and he come down with that football. He did. Brandon Cooks from the 2-yard line in the backfield. The handoff, lost it, on the ground. Jacksonville has it at the 5.
Josh Allen said it. They got to get the ball. There were 2 opportunities to get the ball, and Rayshon Jenkins here he's got to do one of two things, obviously, right? Take it away from Cooks, or at least make sure Cooks doesn't catch it. And Cooks is a really good receiver. I think you pointed that out, John. And he took it away, and that was rightly called an incomplete pass. But, boy, I tell you what, how does that change the momentum if you take the ball away? I wrote this last night. I said it last week. Jaguars had 13 giveaways, turnovers in the last 3 years against these guys, and now they have 16 in the last 7 games.
Well, credit the Texans there. They called that play because it wouldn't be a fumble. And it lowers your percentage of having a turnover at that point. And Cooks, I thought before the game that people were overrating this whole thing of, well, the Jaguars are a better roster. Cooks would be the number one receiver on this team, I think. Mm-hmm. So they used him as their go-to guy, and he caught 4 passes for 140 yards and touchdown. Remember, going into that game, everybody else but the Texans thought the Texans stunk. Well, the Texans had a lot of veteran players, and in the NFL, until you are proven that you're not any good, these pro guys think they're good, and they thought they were good, and yesterday they were.
Yeah, I think going into Houston, pregame especially, I was talking to a bunch of people on the field, and they said, watch out for this. I mean, look at the difference of age on the roster. Look at the veterans on the Texans. Look at the rookies on the Jaguars. Talent, yes, but the experience is vastly different.
Grown men in the NFL usually beat young men in the NFL.
And that was the case. All right, let's go to the offensive side of the ball. In the first quarter, a ton of mistakes, a ton of penalties, lots of self-inflicted wounds. But this drive here in the second quarter makes you feel a little bit better. Trevor Lawrence obviously much more comfortable on this drive.
2nd and 7. Lawrence got his man, touchdown!
First real NFL touchdown to Chris Manhertz, the tight end. And there was some jokes on Twitter that a lot of people didn't expect this would be his first touchdown, was a tight end touchdown.
Well, here's what I liked there, was that he hit his back foot, identified it, and threw it. I mean, there's no hesitation here.
Yeah.
It was a great route combination, by the way. I mean, credit to the offensive coordinator, for drawing that up. And Manhertz got free, and the Texans clearly didn't expect it either.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought all offseason, I don't know if I would have bet Manhertz to catch the first touchdown, but I thought he'd catch 4 or 5 this year because he has looked not at all like a run-blocking tight end. He's looked like a guy who can make plays in the passing game.
All right, let's stay here in the second quarter. The second Trevor Lawrence interception. This is the one where he knew immediately should not have thrown it, and it led to more points on the board for the Texans.
Lawrence on 2nd and 9 at his goal line and throwing and intercepted again at the 25-yard line. That's Hargreaves. Hargreaves to the 10. Dodgers outside and is knocked out of bounds at about the 7-yard line.
Alrighty, so now it is 20-7. Mistakes are made, so you got to get into the locker room, right, Brian?
Well, I mean, that's my Monday morning quarterbacking, right? Yeah. And you always have hindsight. I just, from my vantage point, again, I saw a quarterback who was swimming at that point. And this is a guy who hadn't thrown 2 interceptions in a game, let alone a half, since his second year at Clemson. I might have changed the approach. And, of course, they probably were saying the same thing. We probably should have run it there and gotten the clock run down. Right?
Yeah, and that was the interception in post-game press conference where he said, I never even saw that corner. I saw him out of the corner of my eye, and I knew as soon as I let the ball go, that's a pick.
Yeah.
Well, Hargreaves probably told teammates on Wednesday, watch, I'll get this kid on this play. Because, that was a experienced cover 2 cornerback. He faded off, and then as soon as he saw Lawrence, Hargreaves knew that interception was coming before Lawrence did. And that happens. That's, again, there are textbook rookie interceptions. My guess is Trevor doesn't make that interception or pass again. My guess is he doesn't make the first one again.
I was thinking when he made the first interception, when he was rolling out and threw back across the field, I went, that's a mistake. We're going to see. That's probably not the last turnover he'll have today. It just, sometimes you pull the cork out. You take your finger out of the wall and the water comes rushing through. That's what that felt like yesterday. Mm-hmm. That he was just, they had him and they were going to create some situations. When you throw the ball 51 times as a rookie quarterback in your first start, odds are you're going to throw a couple of those.
Well, that's why the penalties hurt so much, because all through the first half, you're looking up. I think important thing to remember is 3rd and 15. He converted some 3rd and longs.
Oh, yeah.
That's hard to do.
The throw to DJ Chark.
Most rookie quarterbacks don't do that, but you can't put your quarterback in 3rd and 10, 2nd and 12 especially a rookie quarterback, and expect to win.
Holding penalties, drop passes that don't move the chains, all of those contribute to that.
All right, so let's get into the locker room for halftime. Let's make some adjustments. The last thing you want to do is give a play like this with 13 seconds left in the half.
That sideline. Elusive in the pocket. Moves out. Going for it all downfield. It is caught inside the 10-yard line by Brandon Cooks. 12 seconds on the clock. Taylor to throw. Coming over the middle. The catch is made and the touchdown. Danny Amendola.
And you saw who he beat. Tyson Campbell. Yeah. Right? There's your old guys, young guys.
Mm-hmm. And my one to grow on, which we'll talk about later in the show, is CISCO. And that is because of Andrew Wingard on this play.
Yeah, that was pretty obvious.
It was, indeed. All right, so let's make this Monday morning a little better. Let's go to the third and the fourth quarter. Let's show these Trevor Lawrence touchdowns that say, okay, there's something to build on. We have this guy at quarterback.
From the 41. Lawrence with time. Throwing deep. Has a man, and he's got it. Touchdown!
And that's where I thought he settled down. You know, I talked about him at the end of the half there. It seemed like he was swimming, just trying to calm down and get a feel for what was going on. From that moment forward, I felt like even though he threw another interception, he was different. He had something switched inside, and he was better.
If you ask me why he's going to be good, the throw to Chark is why he's going to be good.
That was a beautiful throw.
I mean, there are quarterbacks starting in the NFL who can't make that throw. There have been quarterbacks here in the past who can't make that throw. He makes that throw, and that throw is the difference between 7 and none on that drive. Yeah. That's where you start tilting scores in your direction over time. He'll be fine. That's what you can build around. Just got to give him in good situations. That's going to be the key this year.
I think after those 2 interceptions in the first half, he was impatient in both of those, trying to make a play and realize the speed of the game's different here. You know, these veterans have a different way than the kids in college do. And in the second half, you could see him getting more patient.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he mentioned it in his post-game press conference. I was forcing too much. I was trying to do so much, and I have to understand it's my first start in the NFL. It was pretty obvious he was forcing things that weren't there, especially in the first half.
Well, the cover 2 defense, as we talked about last week, a couple things concerned you going into this game. One was the fact that I get that Tyrod Taylor is not an elite quarterback. He's not going to be in the Hall of Fame. But it worried me a lot that you had a veteran quarterback on the other side capable of extending plays, because those guys make weird things above the X's and O's happen, and he certainly did. And then the fact you're going into cover 2, where the zone defenders, meaning the secondary, are drifting back and watching the quarterback's eyes, that can be trouble against a rookie quarterback. And I would say all 3 of those, I don't know that they happen against man-to-man coverage. They were watching Trevor's eyes, and they read him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Tyrod Taylor, I will say, I was looking back and I was like, okay, well, how's the pass rush? And statistically, it didn't look like it was very good. But you watch these highlights and they're there. Like the 13-second play before halftime, Caleb on Chaison's right there to make the play, and it just seemed like Tyrod Taylor time and again would just slip away.
And that's the veteran quarterback who still obviously has the ability to make guys miss.
Yeah.
I'm going to.
You got to make plays in the secondary on those balls.
Yep.
I mean, that's a big. If you've been around the NFL at all, you hear guys say, sometimes you got to make the play.
Yeah.
They didn't make the play in the secondary.
No, they did not. All right, and those are some highlights. When we come back, some hot takes here on Monday morning on Jags Drive Time.
Jags Drive Time is presented in part by Dreamfinders Homes, homes that fit your lifestyle, and Baptist Health, changing healthcare for good.
That sound is every driver's worst fear. How much will the repairs cost? Is it your engine, your transmission, or worse? A car breakdown could cost you thousands to repair, but not if you have CarShield. CarShield administrators pay your claims directly to the mechanic or dealer of your choice, saving you time and money. Call CarShield today before your next breakdown. Call 800-471-1223, 800-471-1223.
It's not kickoff without the small places that make Jaguars game day big. That's why Crown Royal, is turning game day into giving day by supporting communities that serve us off the field. Nominate a local community hero to win the ultimate Jaguars game day experience at jaguars.com/Crown Royal promotion. Because Crown Royal believes if you live generously, life will treat you royally. Visit crownroyal.com. Please drink responsibly.
At ViStar, we believe in better, especially in helping build a better financial future for our members. So we've reviewed our offerings from the ground up. We've lowered or eliminated over half our fees and enhanced our already competitive rates, saving members more than $1 million this year, in addition to the millions we save them every year. If you believe that saving money is better, join ViStar. Visit vistarcu.org. All loans subject to approval, insured by NCUA.
We just got to convert those to turnovers, man. We got to get the ball. That's one thing we have to really harp on, is getting the ball. We didn't have that many opportunities to get the ball, but we got to go get them. And that's up to me. That's up to all the other defensive players. We got to get the ball. Got to.
Josh Allen with a sack early in the game, but like he said, the turnovers were not made. Lots of opportunities at the beginning of the game that would have really changed the entire momentum of the game against the Houston Texans. Welcome back to Jaguars Drive Time on a Monday morning. It is time for some hot takes, maybe some overreaction Monday that we're trying to settle down. Brian,
I told you last week that Jaguars quarterback since the start of 2019 had thrown the ball 35 times or more in a game, 16 times, and the Jaguars were 1-15. All right, well, now make that 17 times, and they are 1-16. So next week, no more than 30 passes, right? A little hyperbole there. Draw a hard line in the sand and stick with the running game early, because that's how this kid, you got to help this kid. You got to be able to run the ball. It's not all on the play calling. It's on the execution too, right? Keep your hands in. Don't give them a reason to throw the flag. The offensive line has to play better. The receivers have to catch the ball and convert and keep them in running situations. I'm not just talking about run, the call coming from Darrell Bevell. Everyone's got to do their job. You got to help this kid. You can't have him throwing the ball 51 times. 33 games they've played since the start of the 2019 season. Half of them, they have thrown the ball at least 35 times. They've won one of those. One. Pretty simple. Don't throw the ball more than 30 times. Everybody do their job. Stick with the running game.
I'm glad you clarified that, because after watching it, I did not think that they wanted to do that. But guess what, Brian?
They got taken away from it.
If you commit a bunch of holding penalties next week, and you're facing 2nd and 16,
you'll be throwing it again,
and you're down by 14,
right?
He's going to throw 51 passes and complete 30 of them and have 2 interceptions. And it's going to,
play calling isn't always on the coaches, right? And in this particular case, it's absolutely not all on the coaches. They got away from the running game. They probably should have kept calling those plays. However, how do you do it when you've got hold, drop passes, all kinds of mistakes that put them in bad situations? Everyone has to do their job on the field so that you can stick with the running game.
They did themselves no favors.
Nope.
Right, John?
Yeah, and my hot take, I don't hide it. Sometimes my hot takes are just warm.
Just warm.
I'll call this a warm
Lukewarm.
take. The Jaguars need to do simple things to improve. That sounds simple, but it's not always easy to do fundamental things better. And so they've got to cut out the holding penalties. They have to run better. They have to get lined up pre-snap better. And that all sounds very easy. And I guess the reason I say this is we're all on here, and coaches love to say, well, it's correctable. Well, but you got to correct it. You can't just sort of say, well, it's correctable, so we weren't. You can't just tell yourselves, well, the Texans weren't better than us, and say, well, we made some mistakes. You've got to go get that right, and you've got to do fundamental things that are hard to do much better. So it's a big task for this team. I mean, this team was 1-15 last year. I picked them to win 6 or 7. They need to do hard things well to dig out of that hole. I mean, easy things well.
And because you're out there, before they even stretch, they go through a series of fundamental drills where they move from station to station and work on the very basics. It's not that they don't work on it. I can't tell you why they didn't execute it yesterday, but as I'm watching, I'm thinking, well, what about all that work that they do before they even stretch?
And that's what baffled Urban a little bit. He said, look, We work our tails off over and over, and they see it. They know it. Urban knows what he put him through. Sometimes,
if it happens again this week, then you start questioning players.
Sure.
Yeah. And that kind of leads to my hot take, which
and this is hot. It's not warm. It's a hot take.
This sounds dumb. I know it does. But it seems like everything needs to be dumbed down. And I'm saying this more so offensively. Standing on the sidelines, it was clear as day there is confusion, especially with substitutions. There are some wrinkles in this offense that you could say, okay, it's a complex offense. Needs to be dumbed down because the guys can't get lined up. There's no substitution. I think this week, maybe you practice a strictly practice of substitution. Coach Meyer is very keen on getting a ton of reps in practice. We're going to hear from him at 1:30 today, live on Jaguars.com. I want to know, how do you fix this? Is it just working on it this week and it's fixed, or do you change a little bit of the offense? Because we all saw it. It was clear there was a ton of confusion of who's in on what plays. Dumb it down. Nothing wrong with being a little dumbed down, right?
Yeah, and usually in the NFL, when you get blown out and look over a match, it's not a talent issue. It's more, let's go back to the basics. Let's make sure it's not too complicated. That's age old. I think they will do that.
In 2006, the Jaguars ran for 375 yards against the Colts. I've told this story before. You were here covering for the Colts. And the Jaguars just ran over them. And at the time, they were 8-5 and looked like maybe they'd be a playoff team. Of course, the Colts, they ripped off 13 straight wins that year?
They went into that 9-0, and then they lost.
Great team, right? And Tony Dungy in the Super Bowl team, right? Won the Super Bowl. Tony Dungy in his post-game locker room, I went all the way to watch it, and he said, we'll fix it. It's just one or two things. We'll correct it. And I thought, he's crazy. How are they going to fix that? 375 yards, and yet he did. And they won the Super Bowl. They made a tweak here and a tweak there. Guys did their job better, and the Colts won the Super Bowl. It was a great lesson, and that is that sometimes you can make drastic change with small adjustments. And I think that's what Urban Meyer's goal probably will be this week, is to go back and do the things that they do in the routine and the rhythm that they do them, and to do them better.
Yeah, one thing that Colts team did is get Bob Sanders healthy. He's not walking through the door, but you do have to. There's no question. That's what I learned of the Colts above anything else from Tony. Get simple, be able to play faster, and it solves a lot of ills.
You bet.
All right, well, we'll see if the Jaguars can do that this week, getting ready for the Denver Broncos to come to Jacksonville on Sunday for a home game. When we come back, one to grow on, ending this Monday morning with some optimism. Who are we looking at that improved going into week one right here on Jaguars Drive Time?
That sound is every driver's worst fear. How much will the repairs cost? Is it your engine, your transmission, or worse? A car breakdown could cost you thousands to repair, but not if you have CarShield. CarShield administrators pay your claims directly to the mechanic or dealer of your choice, saving you time and money. Call CarShield today before your next breakdown. Call 800-471-1223, 800-471-1223.
Your family isn't like anyone else's. Your home shouldn't be either. At Dreamfinders Homes, you can build the home of your dreams in one of their 30-plus communities in Northeast Florida. Choose from luxury single-family homes or maintenance-free townhomes from the 200s. Dreamfinders specializes in homes built to fit your lifestyle. To find out more, call 904-738-0165 or visit dreamfindershomes.com.
This is Ice-T,
Stone Cold Steve Austin, and
Matty Ice.
This is a cold call.
I convinced NFL teams to turn to cold water washing with Tide.
The NFL, your uniforms get dirty.
Tide can handle it, even in cold. Plus, if fans join in, they can save up to $150 on their energy bill.
Looks like you just made the team, rookie.
Turn to cold with Tide.
And that's the bottom line.
It's got to be Tide. Energy savings based on average when switching from hot to cold and non-HE machines.
We're back, Jaguars Drive Time. Monday morning brought to you by CarShield. One to grow on after the loss to the Houston Texans. 3 players that we picked out that we said, all right, we can work with this. Brian, what are you thinking?
I'm going with Caleb on Chason. And I realized that when he watches the tape today, of Tyrod Taylor's, making him look like do a pirouette, right? And then connecting on the 52-yard. He was there, and he was in his face a lot.
He was.
And I said last week, who can win, right? Who can win one-on-one? We know Josh Allen can win, but it gets tough when he's the only one because they're going to slide the protection to him. Well, if K'Lavon Chaisson is in the backfield all the time, whether he's making the play or not, if he's back there, offensive coordinators and offensive linemen are going to have to account for him. You can teach him how to make the play. He'll learn from that, how to make the play. But he picked up where he left off last year, which was he was ascending as the season came to an end. And I think he and Josh Allen are going to get into a rhythm and give you a nice pass rush.
Yeah, there's so many cases yesterday, and K'Lavon fell into that. Shaq Griffin, I think, will make plays, but couldn't quite come down with the interception. Tyson Campbell looked like he chased a couple of times. When the moment's there, and again, I go back as far as like 95 and 96, talking to Aaron Beasley, the Jaguars corner, and him saying over and over again, most of the guys in the league can be there at the moment the ball is there. It's who makes the play. Yeah. And there were a couple times yesterday where if they make the play when it's there, the game changes. When you play above the X's and O's, which is what Tyrod Taylor did to K'Lavon, then all of a sudden the game goes the other way. You have to make the play.
Well, and the difference between a highly paid safety and an all-pro safety is that he comes down with the ball. He takes the ball away from Brandon Cooks, right? That he didn't make the play. Now, will he have other chances to make the play? Yeah, I think so. I think Rayshon Jenkins is a pretty nice player, but he's got to. You paid the money to make the play. That changes the outcome of the game, potentially.
Totally agree. John, what do you got?
I have Chris Manhertz, which I already talked about him a little bit in the show. He surprised everybody, I think, by his athleticism in training camp and some of the plays that he made. Did it again yesterday. I don't think he's going to be a 1,000-yard tight end, but I do wonder if he's going to, or I do believe he's going to be a better receiving threat than most people gave him credit for. He had one yesterday, so he's on pace for 17 touchdowns. A great all-pro year. But I'll say on a serious note, I do think he has a chance to catch 6-7 touchdowns. He's definitely a good blocker. I think he is going to be a real find from free agency this season.
Well, from the moment he arrived, I mean, Urban Meyer gushed about his ability to move people, but we saw him in training camp. He's a power forward. He's got the big body and the long arms. I'm with you on 6 or 7 touchdowns, but I thought they'd be red zone touchdowns. I didn't know they'd be seam touchdowns like that. I like what I see. There's obviously something that you can work with there. He moved people in the running game now too. They just couldn't stick with it. You just didn't get enough a chance to see that.
All right, my one to grow on is Andre CISCO, and I know what you're thinking. He only had one tackle, Ashlyn, and he didn't start. What do you mean one to grow on? That's the point. Give him the reps to grow. Andrew Wingard, good special teams player. I think we all agree. Struggled yesterday, not making big plays and being lost on those big plays. If Andre CISCO is your future at safety and the ball hawk that we all think he is, put him in to start this week against the Denver Broncos and give him the chance to grow in what he needs to be.
This is pure speculation. Okay. It's just that. But CISCO's the kind of guy, he proved it at Syracuse. He was a ball hawk with 13 takeaways. He probably does a better job on the 52-yard ball to Brandon Cooks. I know he does a better job. He's a better athlete. He's a better player. And he's proven it with his body of work. I think just movement in the starting lineup. Let's go.
Well, he's the guy who makes plays with the ball in the air. So let's see it.
Yes, and you can make it work. Put Wingard on special teams. Find a way to make it work for both sides. But I think that is clear as day going into week 2.
Yeah, I don't think you get a lot of argument.
Okay, good. I thought I probably wouldn't, and I don't seem to be.
You're good, Sean.
All right. Thank you for tuning in to Jaguars Drive Time this Monday morning. Stay tuned. Head coach Urban Meyer addresses the media live here at 1:30. We will see you Wednesday morning here on Jaguars Drive Time.